So Kelly, being a fellow pharmacist, you're a rebel, just like your Rebel Whitecoat podcast.
That's right.
What first brought you to kind of changing your path with pharmacy, not just going down the traditional path?
Yeah, I think it was being at work all day, every day, and feeling like I honestly wasn't making that much of an impact. I didn't feel like I was making that much of a difference for people while I was there. Now, granted, I'm in pharmacy, like long-term care pharmacy, so I'm servicing nursing homes.
Mm-hmm.
So I really felt like at that point, there was not much that I could do. A lot of people were at end of life by then. And so there's not a lot that I can do for people there. And so I really wanted to try to insert myself on the preventative side of healthcare versus the end of life. And I was like, how can I do that? I have all this pharmacy knowledge and all this love of natural medicine. And I just really wanted to help people avoid unnecessary medications. And I wanted to help them prevent disease instead of being on the opposite end of things where I felt like it was just too late.
That's so awesome. So you definitely saw outside the box. So tell us a little bit about like what you do with your own business.
Yeah. So I help women avoid unnecessary medications. They come to me, most of my clients come to me wanting to take a more natural approach to their mindset. So they're suffering with anxiety and depression, and they're wanting to either get off medications or stay off prescription medications. And they come to me because, they're hoping that they can learn some coping skills that can help them deal with anxiety and depression and actually learn ways to manage it versus feeling like it's something that they have to make go away. Mm-hmm. And so I stress on this big time when I work with women is that anxiety is not something that shouldn't be there. Like it literally is an emotion that we're supposed to have. But it's all about managing it. So what I love to do with my clients is, and first of all, teach them awareness and have them understand that it's never just a chemical issue. Like their anxiety and depression, their mindset is never just a chemical issue. And that's a lot of times what we're taught when we go to the doctor and say, you know what, I'm having a lot of anxiety. I'm feeling really down lately. A lot of times you'll get told that it's a chemical issue and here's your prescription, and 3 minutes later, see you later, you're out the door. Mm-hmm. And then you come back 3 months later and next thing you know, you're getting an up in your dosage. And it's just this continuous vicious cycle. And so I love to teach that it's not just a chemical issue. There's emotional issues involved. There's spiritual, situational, learned behavior. All of it plays a role. And I think that's why I love this work so much is that I take such a holistic approach and we look at anxiety and depression from all angles and kind of attack it from every angle and kind of unpeel people like an onion and figure out what the actual issue is versus masking it with a medication. And I'm not dogging on meds whatsoever. They save lives. And definitely if you need a medication to get through a period in your life that you're in, a season of life that's maybe really, really tough. And that's okay. Like I want everyone to know and understand, like I see and love and respect both sides and it's okay. Mm-hmm. But if you're wanting a more natural approach, I love for people to know that there's ways around prescription medication in a lot of circumstances. So
yeah. You speak my language because that's exactly like why I left. Now, do you see a link between like anxiety, depression, and gut health? Like,
yes. Yeah, of course. There's a huge link there. And that's another thing that I love to start with. I like to geek out on this stuff because I'm really into it. So when a client comes to me and they're hoping to take a more natural approach to their mindset and their anxiety and depression. So the first thing I look at is their gut health. And the reason I look at their gut health is because the majority of our serotonin and, relaxing chemicals that are naturally available in our body, a lot of that is produced in the gut. And so if your gut is unhealthy or inflamed, which all of us have an inflamed gut. And it's just hard with the way our food is nowadays and all of the pollutants and toxins that are out there, all the things that we put on our skin, on our hair, all these things are toxic. And so our body ends up inflamed. And when your gut is inflamed, you're not absorbing the vitamins and nutrients like you should be, and you're not making these chemicals, these relaxing, mood stabilizing chemicals like you should be. And it all ties in. I mean, without getting too science nerd on your listeners, it's really, gut health is really important because you got to keep that inflammation down by, there's lots of ways, but reducing toxins, cleaning up the diet, making sure that you're getting enough rest and taking good quality vitamins. There's a lot of ways to help your gut get healthy, and we can dive into that more. But yes, the link is huge. And I love to start there with my clients because I think that all of us need help with our gut. And so if we can get our gut health back in check and get on some good vitamins, some good probiotics, get our gut healthier, that way we're absorbing our nutrients like we should be, and we're making these chemicals like we should be because we're depleted, we're stressed out, we're not sleeping good, and it's hard with the quality of our food nowadays to get everything that our body needs in order for it to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, no, I absolutely couldn't agree more. Like, so when you talk to them about nutrition, one, how do you go about it? Because sometimes I get kickback from people like, you're not a nutritionist. Why you shouldn't be talking about food. Mm-hmm. And then what group, are there certain food groups that you try to get them to limit or get off of for a while to see if that changes anything?
Yeah. So I would say starting with cleaning up the diet a little bit, less processed foods is huge. And that's a really great place to start. But not only that, it's reducing stress levels is huge for our gut health as well. And then, I love to talk about, is good quality vitamin supplementation as well. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get into that, we can. But so I'm a huge believer in high quality vitamins mm-hmm. that our body can recognize and absorb. Because we have to have them in order to make those happy chemicals like I talked about. Mm-hmm. So I'm huge on whole food vitamins that are sourced from food versus lab created vitamins, which is a lot of a lot of the vitamins that you'll see just on the drugstore shelving is lab created. And they're dangerous if you take too much of them. Your body doesn't exactly know what to do with them because it's like, what is this foreign substance that you're giving me? And so I'm big on using high quality vitamins and recommending those to my clients. And I've gone down that road where I didn't know the difference. Like, I didn't learn this stuff in pharmacy school.
No,
I learned this stuff within the past year. And so I switched myself over to good vitamins that are sourced from food, and then I switched all my clients, and it's night and day difference what people are saying, how they feel, the energy levels that they have, how their gut health feels. They're actually having normal, regular bowel movements. People aren't as constipated. I mean, that's a huge issue.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So overall gut health is high quality vitamins are huge.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I see with my clients too. I'm huge on the gut brain connection. There's a huge, like you mentioned, the serotonin, the 70 to 80% in our guts, the immune system is there. It's everything, and definitely affects your mood. I notice it with myself. I notice it with clients. So, and it's like you said, decreasing stress. It's and you have to take vitamins that your body can actually recognize. The ones in the store are synthetic plastic. Your body doesn't know what to do with plastic. So it's very, So,
and you know what? People want an easy option, and popping a vitamin, it is an easy option because it's not the whole answer. Let's be honest. We should be eating good, nutritious foods, but the way our foods are nowadays, they're depleted from nutrients and vitamins. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I don't know who the heck can eat the recommended amount of fruit and vegetables that you're supposed to be eating per day. So if you can take a vitamin that kind of bridges that gap between what you should be eating and what your body needs, heck yes, that's an easy solution to me. And that's why clients love it too so much, is because it makes sense. It makes sense to supplement your body, because we're not getting what we need. How can we?
No. And it's funny. There was a day in time, when I was in the pharmacy and people would ask me about vitamins. I'm like, as long as you're eating well, and that's before I knew what I knew now. Like now it's like people try to poo-poo vitamins and things that we don't need them. But I think it sounds like you agree with like a carrot is not a carrot like it was back in the day, like our grandparents were kids and our age, it's just like, it's not the same. They're mass producing foods. So we need
to the people who say we don't need vitamins. Woo, you haven't felt what it feels like to be on good vitamins. Like I'm currently breastfeeding, and for those of you listening that have ever breastfed, you feel like hungover and tired and just like blah and just low energy all the time. And so I was feeling that way. Every morning I'd complain to my husband. I'm like, I feel hungover. I literally feel like I drank a bottle of vodka.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just
great because, like keep sharing. Yeah. I have listeners that are like, people are going to be. So like,
well, you get so dehydrated and then all of your nutrients are going to your breast milk. And so the rest of you is just like your hair's falling out and skin's terrible. And just like your body is just depleted. And so once I learned about whole food vitamins, I started taking them. I kid you not, 3 days after I started taking them, I woke up in the morning one morning. I was like, I looked to my husband. I was like, I don't know if it's these new vitamins or what, but I feel like really good. Like I feel normal. I feel good. I don't feel hungover. And I was so used to every morning just feeling absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
So I started feeling better and better and better. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something to vitamin supplementation. And I've been taking vitamins my whole life.
Yeah.
I just didn't know quality mattered until now. And so it does. So for those of you who don't believe in vitamin supplementation, like you don't know how it feels to feel good then, because your energy should be high. That's how I feel, at least when I take, whole food vitamins.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like your body actually knows what to do with it. That's
you can actually use it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have had people come to you like, oh, I just buy, the magnesium off the shelf or whatever. And it's just the fish oil. Like fish oil is a big one. And I'm always like preaching to people about getting a good source, just because like there's so many products out there that are crappy and your body's not, whether it's the omegas are filled with some toxins or whatever, or, it's a daily vitamin that's all synthetic and your body just pees it out. You've heard expensive pee, it's just like realizing like kudos to you for thinking, okay, this is a good thing. So having that mindset, but let's like shift you over to like something that's actually going to be worth your money. Maybe it's not the cheapest option, but you're at least getting the,
definitely not the cheapest option. But you know what? You either spend money at the doctor's office or you spend money taking care of yourself. Yeah. Let's be honest. And kids too. I've got my kids. I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old and an 8-month-old. And I've got my 4-year-old and 2-year-old on these vitamins as well. And my kids don't grow hair. I'll tell you what, my 4-year-old has never had a haircut. But all of a sudden, a few months of taking these vitamins, I'm like, I got to get you to the hair salon. Like you're actually growing hair at like a rapid rate. I'm like, oh my gosh, here I feel a little guilty that I didn't know about this until now.
That's awesome.
We don't learn about these things in pharmacy school. We learn how to treat disease, not prevent it. And this is how we prevent it. We prevent it on a cellular level, giving your body what it needs, the nutrients that it needs on a cellular level. And that is all the antioxidants and phytonutrients and all that stuff that's in good vitamins. Your body needs that stuff in order to prevent disease. Like this is how we prevent disease, is through plants.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think too, it's not bad mouthing doctors, but doctors are taught to diagnose and they're not taught to talk about nutrition. So it's just like I always talk to my clients about that, like be your own advocate and realize that like you have to do your own research, but talk to trusted people too, but definitely look into things for yourself. So it's it's definitely when we're trained in school, we're not trained for Eastern medicine or alternative medicine. So
yeah, and trusting your gut too, I think is huge. Like if you are given a diagnosis that doesn't sit right with you, or you're given a diagnosis and you feel defeated, you don't have to take one person's word and just own that and think that you have to have this diagnosis. Second opinions are amazing. Trusting your gut is amazing. Doing your own research is so needed. And just like you said, you have to be an advocate for yourself and be willing to look further. Sometimes there's more options. And just like with anxiety and depression and mindset in general, we aren't taught that this is something that we can work on and take care of naturally. We aren't taught that we have to expect that these ups and downs will happen, these highs and lows, and these emotional things will happen. We're not taught how to deal with these emotions in school as children. Unfortunately, we should be, but we're not. And so it's just not something that people are taught, is that there's ways to help ourselves besides popping a pill. Sometimes it's necessary. A lot of times it's not.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you see this because you work a lot closer with people with anxiety and things, but it's such a stigma. I mean, is it hard to get people to open up to you to talk about their anxiety or depression that they're experiencing?
Yeah, but you know what? By the time they get to me, they're ready. They're like, oh, just tell me, like, I've got to figure something out. The people that come to me are like, I am so sick of taking meds. I am so sick of I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, basically. Yeah. It's how people feel. And they want a solution. And so luckily by the time they come to me, they're ready and they're coachable. But yes, there is still, the stigma is so bad around mental health. And I wish we're working on it. We're breaking down those walls and people are talking about it more often. I mean, everyone's talking about anxiety. But what everyone's not talking about is the fact that it's normal and that we have to be willing to see it for what it is. Sometimes it's just an emotion that we need to feel through and ask ourselves why we're feeling it. Sometimes we need to take a good hard look at our situation that we're in. Maybe our relationships are toxic. Maybe we need to have more healthy boundaries. Maybe we need to decrease stress. And maybe we need to exercise more, eat better. Maybe we need to meditate, journal. All these things are normal. But that's I think the first step is awareness around it. For so long, I didn't even know I had anxiety. I had no awareness around it. I just knew that I was hyper, go. I wasn't the type of person that had like panic attacks. And I know so many people, that's how they categorize anxiety. It's like, oh, I panic, or I just can't relax. But for me, mine was just very high functioning. I was the girl who would go until I'd make myself sick because I would never quit. I would never quit. And I would either get sick or get burnt out and burn out my adrenals. And then my gut health was jacked because I was so stressed out and I wasn't eating good. I wasn't sleeping good. All these things played a role. And I had to finally sit myself down and say, what is going on in my life? I'm not happy in the relationship that I'm in. I wasn't liking my job. All these things. I was eating like crap. I wasn't taking care of myself. Next thing you know, full-blown high functioning anxiety. And I was like tail spinning out of control and hit rock bottom. And so, but it wasn't until that point where I didn't know high functioning anxiety existed until I heard it being talked about. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can relate to this so much. Just not being able to relax, the go, the woman who feels like she's never enough, the nervous habits that, just never quitting and feeling like everything revolved around what other people thought about me and my success. And oh my gosh, I cannot quit because I feel unsettled and guilty if I'm not constantly working. Like that's the high functioning anxiety that so many people can relate to.
Yeah. So this goes like right into your book, Don't Tell Me to Relax. And when I was reading that, so I was honored I got to read it before it like officially came out. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm like closing the book, like, did I write this book? Because this is like my life. Like, oh, I have to run it. Like you talked about running a marathon, being in pharmacy school. And then after pharmacy school, like, doing all the things that you're supposed to do, like getting married and blah, blah, blah. It's like, wait a minute. Ooh. And so talk a little bit about your book. Like, that's so awesome. Like what brought, how do you find the time for one with 3
I don't know. I'll never be able to answer that question. I honestly don't know, because with 3 little kids and my job and my side hustle. Yeah. And honestly, I found the time because I am that high functioning person. Like, I still am that woman. Like, I'm not sitting here going, I'm so calm and I'm just relaxed and zen and I hug trees and I meditate all day. Like, no, like I still struggle with this high functioning anxiety, and I have to put myself into check and create some very strong boundaries and work on my self-care. And I'm still a work in progress, just like anybody else. But okay, so how do I find the time? I just made the time. I did a lot of writing in the mornings or in the evenings after work, and then after my kiddos went to sleep. And just honestly, when I felt most passionate about what I wanted to say. And I had so much passion behind this book because really it was just, I wanted to share my message of what I'd been through. And I wanted women to read my book and be able to relate. And that is if you go on Amazon and read the reviews, like that's what everyone is saying. It's like, it's relatable, relatable, relatable. And I'm like, yes, like that's the best thing that I could have heard from anybody, because it gives women a chance to know that they're not alone.
Mm.
To know that this is something that we all struggle with, is feeling like we're not enough and that we have to constantly prove ourselves through achievement. And so basically I wrote this book for the ambitious woman who is overwhelmed, stressed out, and has anxiety. And those things often come with being a high achiever. So I wrote that book for the woman who needs to hear it from me. Like, this is not what life is about.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be willing to kind of see what we're doing to ourselves. We have to be, I guess, willing to take a step back and to see it from a broader perspective, and to know that this is not what life is all about, not just success and running around nonstop and being unhappy and constantly trying to prove our self-worth. Like, that's not it. Like, we are enough just as we are. And so that's kind of what this book is about.
I love that, because I mean, I'm in that boat. I'm like a high functioning, like anxiety person. Like, and like you, I didn't even know what that really meant. I'm like, oh, I don't have anxiety, but like you said, it's not necessarily like, oh, I have panic attacks that I'm like shaking in a corner and like laying on the floor or whatever it is. It's like realizing, like, just trying to keep going because you're not slowing down, allowing yourself to like process things. So yeah, it's I definitely related to your book. Like,
I'm so glad.
Yeah,
I'm so glad.
It was definitely like reading my own story. So I'm just like, okay. And so it was eye-opening for me. Like, some of the things I'm like, okay, yeah, that's me. And, us both being pharmacists, we know we have to, at some points in your life, you do have to go, because you need to pass school, or you need to, but at some time you need to be able to like turn off the switch a little bit anyway. So.
Yeah. And I think it's about finding that balance, quote unquote. I'm not really sure that exists, but I think that we're always going to be in some kind of hustle mode, but we have to be willing to reel it back in and say, you know what, I need a couple days to just be. Mm-hmm. And so I've been really mindful of, yes, I work my ass off. Yes, I hustle. But I also know that if I don't take a break, I can pretty much guarantee I'm going to be sick. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee I'm going to hit burnout. And then I'm going to be really unproductive because I can't even think straight because I'm spent, you know? So I've learned when I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And when I start to feel like that overwhelm and that burnout kind of creeping in, that's when I reel back in and I'm like, okay, why am I pushing so hard? What do I need to do differently if I'm feeling anxious and overwhelmed? I mean, that's those are signs my body's giving me for a reason. I need to pay attention to those and make changes and get more in alignment with what I need.
Yeah. So when you're working with a client, and it probably, it may vary, but typically what are like the first steps that you take with your clients that come to you to kind of get them on the path?
Yeah. So one of the first things that I do is look at gut health, kind of like we talked about, but vitamins are always first. Mm-hmm. We start there because I can teach you all the coping skills, and we can work on your emotions and, all these things. But your body still isn't going to behave, do what you want it to do if you're not giving it what it needs. And especially you ambitious women out there that are pushing and you're going, and if you're busy moms out there, business owners, you know who you are. Your bodies need nutrition. And if you're normal like me, you're eating processed stuff. You're eating the mac and cheese, the chicken strips and stuff. You know what I mean? So, I don't eat perfect because I'm too busy to eat perfect. And even if I did, I would still take vitamins. But so I start there. I could go on about that forever. But so we start there, and then we look after we kind of get that going, and it kind of gives my clients a quick win because they start to feel better right away. And then from there, we look at the other reasons they're feeling anxious. So spiritual causes. I love to talk about spiritual causes. Situational things. We learn coping skills. We learn that you have to, self-care is huge. So looking at situational, emotional, spiritual, all these things play a role. And so I kind of attack it from all angles, one thing at a time. And so that's kind of how it looks when you work with me, is just one thing at a time and making small but really big steps at the same time in order for you to feel better and get a grasp on your emotions and know why they're happening. Mm-hmm. And then that way, once the awareness is there and you know why you're feeling the way that you do, then you can implement changes. But you cannot make any positive changes in your life unless you have the awareness around what the hell needs to change. So I kind of give my clients, I like to say I'm not like in your drama. So like a lot of times when we seek out a coach or a mentor, all of our, I'll say issues, I don't like to say that because you're not broken, okay? But you have things that you want to work on. So when you seek out somebody to help you, they're not in your drama like you are. You're up in your head about it. You've been thinking this way for a long time. And so when you have an outsider's perspective step in, they can see your stuff without all the drama around it, right? And so that's a really powerful thing about having a coach, is that they're not in your drama. To them, it's easier to unpack it and kind of see it differently, so they can help you to choose to see it differently as well, and kind of give you a kick in the ass if you need it, and say, you know what, I see what you're doing. I see this struggle that you're addicted to. And are you willing to change it, or are you not? Because a lot of times people aren't willing to change where they're at in life, even as though they say they want to.
It's so true. Like, they can say they want to change, and when it comes down to it, they don't want to stop eating those French fries, whatever it is that is stopping them from their goals. So yeah, I love how you say like the coach takes the drama out of it, because it's the emotional piece. Like you're looking at it with your clients unemotionally.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely changes. It definitely changes everything. That's awesome. So you have a podcast. I wanted to throw that in there too. So what do you like go through with your Rebel Whitecoat podcast? What are your focus?
Mm-hmm. So I love to say that my podcast is like, if you're into natural medicine, spirituality, if you're into mindset work and just bettering yourself on like in a natural way, then my podcast is for you. I bring on other healthcare professionals. I bring on women just like you who are going through what you're going through, who've kind of been there, done that. And it's a fun podcast. It's very laid back, and I kind of it's called Rebel Whitecoat Podcast, and it's all about natural medicine and mindset work and spirituality, all the woo. I'm very hippy dippy, woo woo, tree hugging child, and so
I love it.
All that stuff kind of wrapped into one.
Your tie-dye is on. Yeah. And that's, I guess when I met you, that's what was so refreshing about you, is like, oh my God, there's another pharmacist out there that like sees what's going on in the medical field. And like, I don't know, like what is like something in the medical field that you're just very passionate about that needs to change? Like if you had like one or two things that you're like, I think it's even just educating people, like this is what's happening. What would be something that you would just like to kind of say, hey, public service announcement?
I think the biggest thing, my biggest message when it comes to healthcare is that prevention is everything. Mm-hmm. It's so much easier to prevent disease by giving your body what it needs instead of trying to reverse things later on down the line. So that's why I'm so huge on, giving your body what it needs, vitamins, whatever, meditation, whatever you need, exercise. We all need all these things. So that's really one of my biggest messages. And then also my second thing is, no surprise, like medication isn't always the answer. And so I want people to know that there's natural ways to deal with a lot of things, and not all the time. But a lot of times you can take a natural approach to some of the things that you might be going through, and don't ever just accept this diagnosis that somebody in a white coat gave you and think that you're forever broken and that there's nothing else that you can do. Research, get a mentor, get a second opinion, look for more answers, I think is my biggest message.
I love that. It's so, proactive medicine's the way to go. And it's getting people to see the value of staying healthy versus, like you said, waiting till sickness and disease happens and then you're scrambling to try to make things right again. I think a lot of people out there that have all the money in the world that have been sick have always wished like they'd give anything amount of money to be healthy again. So it's a lot when people say that. So
taking care of your body, staying out of the doctor's office more,
Yes.
Missing less work. Yes, it's expensive to be healthy, but it's more expensive to be sick.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Well, girl, I want to thank you so much. I know you have had a long day today, and you are a trooper for doing this, and I'm so thankful. So, where can my audience? I know we went over a couple places, but where can they find you and look more into what you're doing?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Kelly Rompel Coaching, and Rompel is spelled Rompel. Kelly's with just a Y. Or kellyrompel.com. You can get my book on there for free. And Rebel Whitecoat Podcast is my podcast. And if you want to get in touch with me for any type of consultation, I do free calls, vitamin consults, and you can get a hold of me at kellyrompelcoaching@gmail.com for that.
Awesome. Oh my God. Well, thank you. She's awesome. All of you out there. It's like a fellow pharmacist. We're in the trenches together, and it's so fun. So thank you so much for your time. And
absolutely.
And look forward to watching you do even bigger things in the future and raising your kiddos and all that good stuff. So you are definitely you inspire me. So thank you.
You inspire me as well. I need to get better on the fitness train.
I can help you out. That's like my jam. I can do that piece. So
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much.